I think rebranding how we position job descriptions is a much needed cause right now, depending on who you're hiring for. You're hiring for a postgraduate who's coming out of school, entry level management, mid level management. They're looking for different things than you and I were once looking for,
Yeah.
right? They want to know definitively what their job is. They want clarity, they want exposure, they want growth planning and succession. Where we, and well, I'm speaking for myself, I was happy to get in the door, do whatever I needed to do to be seen and to be heard and to work in. Not that that's right or wrong, it was just a different time. And I think what we are looking at now is just a more diligent workforce entering that have more needs, and I think that's good. I think that it's going to cultivate a culture within organizations and within the broader scheme of employment that life does matter first. Let's reiterate that clearly. Let's let people know that this is a job, this is expectations, this is clarity, this is what you're going to be doing on the day to day, and let them make a decision if this makes sense for them with real-time information. I'm not saying sugarcoat it. I'm saying be direct, but be real with what people can expect.
Amazing. I think you touched on a point. I love the culture part. I think that's definitely a big transformation that it's either happening or people are realizing, right? Because again, finding talented people to stick and stay, it's definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
From your perspective, and you're talking to restaurants and people, your customers, right? That you're helping recruit. Do you see any changes in how they're viewing these roles? Are they understanding the fact that maybe the 60-hour work week is no longer or will be no longer in play, or that shift hasn't necessarily happened, right? What are the employers' expectations? Are they still rock solid, or have
It's
they?
really case by case. I think there's an argument to be had that smaller establishments, doing call it 2 million and less for restaurants specifically, not hotels or other hospitality sectors, but restaurants specifically, those ones are constantly running in a circle. They're staffing to the level of need, not in excess. So if one person is out, resigns, is getting terminated, they're in a position where that owner is now picking up extra hours. The sous chef is working, more line shifts, and they're in a position now where they're going to expedite their training process. That person who's going in is not going to be fully adequate and armed and dangerous for 3 months until they get fully adequate with the systems. And at that point, they're going to feel a lack of confidence in the role that they're doing. So I think to get ahead of that, you need to invest in a training program that makes sense for your organization.
Yeah.
But you need to be ahead of the hiring. You need to have the signals. You need to invest the time to have the conversations with your team so they feel candid enough to speak with you about what's wrong. So you're not caught off guard. Is it going to happen? Absolutely. But as a leader, as a manager, as an owner, it's your responsibility to stay ahead of that and not put yourself or your team members in a situation where they're going to be running in circles trying to keep up because that revolving door is never fully shut and they're never fully staffed. On the other end, there are plenty of organizations that I've seen that size and larger and smaller that are doing it really well, where they are investing in, on the onset, 6-week training programs for a sous chef, for a front of house manager. And those companies, you can feel the difference, right?
Okay.
Their training programs are dialed in. They know exactly what they're doing when they walk in the door each day.
Right.
They have team meetings with their supervisor, their manager, asking questions, taking tests, making sure that they're up to date on the menu, on all the allergies, on the guest sepsis service.
Right.
So I think that there are companies that are doing it really well. And as a guest, you feel that walking in the door, right? You feel that level of service being enhanced.
Okay, so you can see a direct relationship between the companies that have a very structured onboarding process or training process or development, right? And their turnover, right?
Yeah.
Basically, it's clear as day. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
amazing.